It's a party this week. As always, Flo's joining me. How are we, Flo?
I'm doing good, thank you, Matthew. Hello, everyone.
But this week we have Slavo joining us. How are we, Slavo?
Hello, everyone. We're good.
So this is, I still haven't hooked up the elevator music. So usually with all these things, it starts off, we sit here for a while twiddling our thumbs, and then one question rolls in, and then we share screens, and then suddenly it's just one thing after another. So we play the waiting game now. Each week, Slavo, we say at this point that we need some elevator music, and I think with the new branding, we need to get some new on-brand elevator music.
What was your previous elevator music?
We haven't had one, unfortunately.
Oh,
Now's the time.
I think Joyce has something. Should ask her.
I'll reach out.
All right. It's quiet today.
It is.
Is that because I showed up? So do we know who is here or not?
No, we don't know. I can see the number of viewers, but we don't know who exactly is here. I hope it's not something with user flow, because I know we had a pop-up for the new elements. So 2 weeks ago, Slavo, there was a problem with user flow where usually when this is running, there's a thing in the editor that pops up. And I think we had an announcement for an element then. So I hope something similar hasn't happened where, because we've released the elements and there's a new pop-up in user flow, I hope it hasn't affected the one for the office hours.
Well, maybe we should test it. Flo should start showing some teasers, like the new backend work. And people will start asking questions.
I could tease on something.
Ale, let's go. Teaser.
All right. By the way, Matthew, I just tried to generate music with AI.
In WeWeb or on on Sumo?
Yeah, on Suno. Honestly, it's working.
It's unbelievable. It's scary, to be honest with you.
I asked for an elevator, music for live streams, and the results are really nice.
Wow.
Okay, well, I can share.
By the way, I played a little bit with the new chat, the OpenAI model, the 4.1, with my favorite AI tool. In my opinion, it is not as good as Anthropic. That's my humble opinion. Context, of course, is much larger, much better. But in terms of the accuracy it creates, I think it's behind Anthropic on what I tried.
Yeah. I know the tech team is going to try out.
But the 1 million token context is huge.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, and we could definitely use that for the syncing model.
Yeah.
Of the newest orchestration.
Because then you can keep chatting to infinity and it will not start hallucinating. It's really very solid in that sense. So.
Pretty sure we're going to use it.
Okay, cool. I'm ready for the teaser.
All right, I can tease you on something. Okay, let me share my screen.
I'm prepared to be amazed.
This is a work in progress, but I could use your feedback on this. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Okay, so we are working on something new, which is pop-ups in here. So we could call that model, but we thought that pop-ups would mean more for all users. So as you know, to do those kind of things, you can use the dialog elements in here. Sorry, I'm not in that environment, I don't have the dialog, but but this is usually what you do, and you can drag and have the trigger and display whatever you want. And the idea was to to have something more global for this, and so you could add new element from kind of a toolkit that we would provide, and when you click add, then you would have some components here, and you can open that pop-up like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if I click edit, it works like a component. So basically in here, I can create properties. So let's start like this. One that I can call title. And then I can click on that, bind to my property. So let me give you in here. Oh, sorry. I forgot to click create, I think. All right, so I've got my property here, and then let me go back to the text, and I can now bind to that property. So let me close that pop-up, and now what I can do is to, let's say, for example, in here,
I can trigger it from anywhere. Yeah,
absolutely. From anywhere, I can just go to the workflow, and I have this new action to open a pop-up. And in here, I will find my list, and you see, as I created a property, I will have the property here. So if I don't have any properties, I can just open it and that's it. But in here, I can just do this, and then if I click preview and I click here, I've got my pop-up with the instance with the value I defined in my workflow. And so if I go to that component, just to give you more details in here, if I click this element, I will find in here all the properties that we have in the dialog element.
Yeah.
So I can make them all. I can make it like this and say, okay, it's on the right side, and make a form in here. And then when I trigger it from the workflow, I can provide the context to initialize a form or something.
So how is it technically different from the new dialog element?
So it's really global, and it's a component. So it would be like if you click on the dialog, you remove the trigger, you put it into a section, and then you make the component.
So it's like the old model, kind of.
It's like the old model, but it's not a section. It's really global, so you can trigger that on any page, and by default, it's a component. So so really, it's built for to scale.
It's much more flexible like this.
Yes, absolutely. It's much more flexible. And the other thing is you can do something like let me close this. Something that you can do sometime when you open a pop-up. Let's say you open a pop-up and it's a multi-step form, and then that multi-step form returns an object with some values. Okay, so you can sync pop-up like a service, basically like an API call. And what you can do in this action in here, you can wait for the pop-up to close. So for example, in here, I could do something like an API call. So let me just do this. So in here, for example, I could have a call, and right now when you open a dialog, so let's say you use the component action to open it, then when it's open, it goes straight to the other action. So you can basically you never add actions after opening something, opening a dialog. And
correct. Yeah.
In that case, it could be different. So if you toggle this on, the workflow will stop. It will stop. Yeah. Absolutely, it will stop, and it will wait for. Let
That's
me show
very
you.
cool.
Yeah.
So it will not. The workflow will not continue until you close the pop-up.
Absolutely. So in the component, you have a new action called close this instance, close this pop-up instance, and it's going to wait for this.
Mhm.
So if you have a multi-step form, in the last step, you could use this action, and then when it's done, you can. Let me go back here. You can do a call based on the results of your pop-up.
Mhm.
And you can go on. So it's more flexible. You can do a lot more use cases, and you can also, as it's a component, it will be in your library in here. So in the library, you've got your components and you've got your pop-ups as code components. So you can share those pop-up to any other project in your workspace.
Cool. We have a question there about crypto. So I don't know if we still have Paul Brian in here. You can, and many people do. There are actually lots and lots of crypto applications built in WeWeb. Typically, you would connect to crypto through your backend, not through your front end. So you need a competent backend for something like this. But in fact, yesterday I talked to a company from the Netherlands that is building what's almost like a crypto exchange using WeWeb. So they have a custom coded backend, and they are going to use WeWeb for the front end, and they will be connecting to various crypto services. So yeah, definitely possible.
Yeah. If it's all API calls, it's all very much possible.
Yeah. And we should probably say here that our Alexei is a big crypto fan, and in his free time, he does build crypto things using WeWeb. So
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
oh yeah, he's a big crypto guy. That's Alexei S, the original Alexei. Yeah.
Nice. What are your thoughts on the pop-up Slavo? I've seen that many times with Flow, and we've had a back and forth about certain things. But I think it's very cool, and it should help standardize things.
Yes, pop-ups today are difficult to do, and I actually do them manually, and it's a pain. One thing where I don't know whether this will work, but I personally I have always had a strong use case is that I want an easy way to display pop-up on hover somewhere.
Okay, as a tooltip.
As a tooltip,
Right.
yes, as a tooltip. And right now it's kind of difficult to do. You need to get the coordinates,
Yes.
and it's doable, but there's a lot of manual work. And I think, and users do ask me that as well. So I think that would be a very interesting use case to use pop-up as a tooltip. Yes, in an easy way.
I was thinking about a wrapper for this. So to create a component with just a drop zone. And if you drag and drop anything inside, then while hovering it, you've got the tooltip displayed. So I think it would be the best way to do it in a way that you can reuse it anywhere in your application.
But even this one, if you, what I did not see, I mean, in the settings, but I guess you can take off the backdrop, right? From
yes, absolutely.
So you can remove that, so you then have a simple tooltip.
Yeah.
And you can display it at a certain
where you want
XY point, right?
No, this is a good. This is a good idea. We could absolutely do it and just add it to the.
I think that would be very useful.
The toolkit, yeah.
Yeah, if it's not too hard, I think that would be very useful.
No, I would think about it.
That is something we don't have today, and it's not super easy to do for those who don't know WeWeb inside out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And what about the pop-up word? Because we thought about using modal, another one, and it's quite hard to find a word that works for many things because you can display alert, you can display drawers. You can display toasts. We have many words for those kind of pop-ups.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pop-up, but it can be a drawer. So I don't think Matthew is the English-speaking person here, so I'm not native.
We thought pop-ups because I guess it's the most encompassing one, and I think for someone who isn't familiar with any of the terminology, I think it would make the most amount of sense. You know, I was funny enough. We had Prolette on, who's a regular here on the office hours, and we spoke about toasts with her, and she said they're called toasts. And I was like, yeah, they're called toasts, because I remember the first time I got into all this and I realized they were called toasts. I thought, what an odd thing. So there's terms like that. If you aren't familiar with them, it could be a bit strange. So I think pop-ups
I don't use that
best encompassing.
I'm not a big fan of it. I know it's used like that. I prefer pop-up or tooltip, or modal. But yeah, I don't know. Pop-up is fine with me, but I understand there are different versions of it, and once it comes from the side, it's not really a pop-up anymore, right? So
yeah, I think it's an endless topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very quiet today.
Yeah, it's really quiet.
Because I'm here. People thought, you know, what the hell? I'm so ready.
Well, I used to be cursed in interviews level, so usually it's for me.
Well,
yeah, really quiet.
So that breakthrough Flo, the breakthrough, the AI breakthrough, the thing that Alex EY did a few weeks ago, that is coming to production when? This week or next week? Is that a trick question?
Yes. I think in 2 weeks. I'm pretty confident. In 2 weeks. We are playing with it. We are improving it. So basically, all the AI orchestration is going to change, and we wanted to really improve the quality of what AI is building, and we are starting to have really great results, managing the UI and having on top of it a great logic. And so this is coming, and I think in a couple of weeks.
Are your expectations high, specifically in the context of workflows as well?
Yes.
AI-generated workflows?
Yes, absolutely.
Because in that example that we've seen, it was the workflows that really, really shined, right? That they were almost perfect from the get-go.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
So, yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and that's also why we prioritize this new way of building pop-ups, because it's more standard. This is how developers are doing pop-ups, and so AI knows how developers are building pop-ups, and so it's much more easier for those models to then build in that WeWeb way, because it's just a standard way to build pop-ups. So that's also why we prioritize this, so we could have better UI, better logic, and a better pop-up management system.
We've had Mo join us, by the way, guys. So I'll let Mo in. Mo has a question. I think you might have spoken to Mo last week, actually.
Yep, we did. Yeah.
Hey, Mo. How's it going?
How's it going? Pretty good. How are you?
Hello.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate these office hours. It definitely helps out, week to week, kind of just things that come up top of mind. So I'll kind of get right into it if you guys don't mind. So I had a question for you. I was kind of putting the landing page together of my project last week, and what I wanted to know was I noticed that when I hit preview, the stuff shows up, but then it disappears when I come off a preview. So I was just wondering if you guys kind of knew why that was happening. I think I have an idea, but I wanted to just kind of hear from you guys first.
It's probably conditionally rendered, and you have the setting on to force it displayed in the editor, but let's have a look. So if you were to click, if you put it into edit mode.
Into edit mode, okay.
And you click onto the actual, in the designation questionnaires, if you click onto one of those elements that hides whenever you put it into preview.
Oh, okay. Yep. Gotcha.
And if you were to click onto the card, so where it says years of industry experience and previous branch experience, if you were to click on just the outer part, I think, the outer card.
Like the whole thing?
Yeah, I think, yeah, what you were just hovering over there. Section expanded. Okay. And if you were to open up the display settings, if you remember last week we expanded all of these, it might just be easier for now while we go through this just to expand everything.
Sure, no problem.
And if you were to go into the settings for me, so the middle tab where the sliders are at the very top of the element.
Settings.
Just that
Here?
one. And you expand the very bottom one. Actually, I think so if you were to put initial value at the top to on, you see it says init value, there's a setting for it. And if you now put it into preview,
Excellent.
there you go. So I think it's you're using the native element that we have for the accordion. I think it's the accordion. And so that initial value determines whether or not it's opened or collapsed whenever you put it. Whenever it renders.
Could it be that it did this because for like the landing page, I kind of I guess I would have to change the same thing, but basically I wanted it to emulate another website. So hold on, sorry. When I hit preview, then it kind of like shows up.
No, that's just because of the animations it's applied, unfortunately. So because the initial state is it's invisible and then it shows after the animation, that's why it's invisible in that case, unfortunately.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with what we just went through with the edits and stuff.
No,
okay,
I think it would be a case if you really wanted it in the editor. I think right now, unfortunately, you would have to get rid of the animation. Would there be perhaps another way around it, Flo?
Got it. Okay, no, this was really helpful. I appreciate it. All right, awesome. No I can't think of anything at the oh, you know what? Actually, do have another question for you guys. If I want to connect the front end to the back end, I know you guys had a video on that. I think I got stuck somewhere. I'm just wondering. So I guess where was I? I think it was back end. So how would I go about doing that? I remember there was, there it is right here, these. So I remember trying to connect the Xano one. But then I don't remember, if I click on this, is this gonna like display everything? Like would I have any issues or?
It would hide your secret key, so you should be okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like this, I don't know why this keeps coming up, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
That's okay. That's just the documentation. This part on the right side. So, what would you like to do? So you already connected it, right?
So it is connected.
Could you click on the first block, the configuration one? Yes, this one. Let's see. Okay, so now you need to select a workspace just below. You see, you've got instance, for instance, and I guess you have to select a workspace then. Do you see? Yes, that one.
The workspace that's within WeWeb or within
Xano? No.
Oh, within Xano. Got it. All right, and then do I hit continue?
Okay, you can keep that one like this for now.
All right.
It's when you have multiple environments on the Xano side, so you can decide which one is used on the editor and on your published app. But it's for later. It's for when you have something in production, you don't want to break it. You want to make some changes on the editor before publishing it. So you can click continue in here.
Continue here, okay.
And it's the same for that one. So you can click continue. Okay, and same. It's in something else. So you can click continue. So so now it's connected. So if you open a workflow somewhere in your application. Okay.
Open a workflow.
Yeah, anywhere on a button or something, or you can click on a card and you can remove it later. So it's not a big deal. So you click on something and then you go to the third tab on the menu on the right.
Oh, on the right. Okay, not this one.
On the right, yeah.
Yep, on the right. Okay.
This one, yeah. Read the last one.
The
The
little
cir- the
flash,
cir-
the little flash on the right, far right.
Oh, far right. Okay, apologies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is the part when you can add a workflow. So if you click new in here, you will have this. And if you click add an action in the middle of your screen, yeah. In here, if you type in Xano, oh,
Am I supposed to add a workflow here?
you should see a Xano action. Can you click add action again, please? Yes,
Sure.
here. Can you scroll?
Yeah, sure. Right
It's
there.
here. Yeah. It's called request. Okay.
The
Okay,
request
so
one?
you can click, yeah, you can click on that one.
Okay.
And so on the right side, you see you've got API group endpoints, and this is where you can select any endpoint from your Xano project.
Okay. So, like for example, if
yeah, you can select that group, and I guess in that group you will have some endpoints, right? Okay, and you have all the lists from your Xano projects, and you can make a call, get some data, and use that data. So this is one way. The other way, usually, this is what you do when you start. You create what we call a collection to get some data.
okay.
So we can quickly show you this if you like.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Yeah, and let me ask a question because I don't have any coding experience. Would I be able to prompt the AI to do this for me? Or is that something I just would have to start learning?
Yes. You can
Oh, yes?
you can prompt AI. If you open the AI tab in here,
Mm-hmm.
you see you've got the workflow select. You've got the little purple workflow. So
Yep.
if you ask for something in here, it will just update that workflow.
But it'll take the data from Xano and it'll plug it in
It will
here?
use this action request, and it could set it up, but then you need to check what it does. So it's a way to initialize a workflow.
Okay, gotcha.
But it won't create collections yet. This is something that we don't support yet, so we can show you quickly how to do that. So if
Sure.
you close this,
Close. Okay.
you can close it. You can remove that workflow. So if you click edit at the top,
Yep.
and just remove it. So if you can you go back to the
Sorry.
edit
Okay.
work? Yeah,
Okay.
no
Yep.
worries. Can you select the text again where you added this workflow?
Sure.
Yes. And then if you hover this workflow, you see we got inside. Yeah, click on the three dots icon just below.
This one right here?
Just to remove it. Yeah. So you won't have
okay.
this workflow.
Okay. Let me maybe the three little dots and then delete.
And you deleted it. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So now if you go on the left side, so on the menu on the left, you've got data. You see data?
Yep.
Okay.
Collections.
So perfect. So you already created one. So that's nice. So if you click on that one.
This one right here?
Yes. So you see in here, you can select again an endpoint to get some data. But I guess it would be nice for you to go to the academy and just start the first course.
Okay.
It will teach you how to connect your backend to the front end. It's a bit outdated in terms of UI. We're going to update that, but the concepts are really the same.
The same concepts.
So,
okay.
Yes, absolutely. So you will find how to do it after watching those videos.
Perfect.
So basically to learn how to get some data, display those data, update those data.
Got it. Okay, no, thank you. That's really helpful. So, okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I was connected, and now that I am,
yeah, it is.
Thank you so much.
I put a link to the Academy in the chat for you, Mo. Just quickly before you go, I don't know if you experimented with Supabase at all, because when you use Supabase, the AI, and when you integrate it with WeWeb, the AI can actually interact with Supabase, so it might suit your use case a bit more, because I know you enjoy using the AI.
Yeah.
So, and Supabase have a pretty generous free plan, so it might be worthwhile experimenting with that.
So it's another backend system, the Supabase, and you think it'll be easier for me to use, like someone with no coding experience.
If you want to use AI, yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in Xano, you will have to configure everything manually today.
Oh, okay.
Well, just as per the example you went through with Flo, you will be able to connect to your collections and you'll be able to connect to your endpoints in Xano, but you will have to manually configure those endpoints inside Xano. Although
Got it.
Xano did introduce quite a few new AI tools that will help you do that. It is nowhere near the level of integration Matthew is talking about with Supabase.
Oh, okay, wonderful. And question for you: Does it in terms of like capabilities, well, based on like the research that I did, it seemed like this was a good tech stack. But wondering, is it comparable in terms of like maybe like I don't know, all the other stuff that Xano supposedly does?
There is no difference in scalability or security
Okay.
between Xano and Supabase, and under the hood they both use Postgres database, and just Supabase and Xano, they build different layers of abstraction that sit on top of that Postgres database, but both have the same capabilities in terms of scalability and security.
Okay.
But with what's available today in WeWeb, it is far easier to work with Supabase. And with what Flo has cooking in the next few weeks, it will be even easier.
Oh, perfect.
It'll be next level of ease, because you'll be able. Can I say that already, Flo, or is it too early? You'll be able to visually build your backend workflows from inside WeWeb.
Okay, got it.
Is going to be an incredible user experience.
Okay, wonderful. All right. No, thank you for that recommendation. I appreciate it. Definitely, we'll look into it and hopefully create an account and plug it in. All right, awesome. Thank you, gentlemen.
No worries. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Data grid question, Flo.
Oh
yes, there was a good question. No, thank you, Slavo. It was Tomer. I think we also had Tomer in it a few weeks ago. He was asking about the data grid versus the table. So any reason to use the data grid element versus the table element regarding front-end efficiency / load speed?
So the data grid one is a lot more efficient and you will have better results here. You can just have 10,000 rows.
Can you show your 10,000 row example, Flo? Do you have it somewhere?
I can find it, yeah.
I mean, that speaks for the use of data grid. You can seamlessly work with 10,000 rows, which is something you absolutely cannot do with a table.
Let me do something.
Yeah, since we introduced the data grid, I'm not even really sure of what the use case of the table would be anymore.
It's I mean, now that we have the custom column, sometimes when you don't have many rows and you really want to have pixel perfect cells and something really custom, it's better to use table. But when you have to really display rows like a real kind of table, that really is better. So let me just do something like we set up a project. So you know what? I'm going to connect a Supabase account to get really 10,000 rows. I can.
And please don't try to load. I'm not talking to you, Flo, but to our guests here. Don't try to load 10,000 rows into a normal table. It's going to crash your front end and probably crash your browser and possibly crash your computer too. So.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so give me one more minute. I think it's here.
In the meantime, Tomer, feel free to post your question about the modals in the chat, and we can we'll get to after this.
Need to remember in what project I did that, or I can just use the one.
While you're doing that, Flo, there was a question again about the data table. We've kicked off the data table questions now. making a row clickable. So as far as I'm aware, it isn't possible to have any kind of event around clicking a row right now, is it? You have to rely on the action button.
Oh, that's a good point. We might need to add this event, indeed. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so let me do this. And I just connected the Superbase plugin, and so I think I have a collection here. Do that. Might have no, it's not. Well, you know what? I'm going to create it with AI. So let me add a data grid in here. Maybe I should try and drop it like this. Okay. So I have this data grid, and let me go back to backend in here. So I've got my tables, and let me ask AI to create a new one. So could you create a table called events and add 10,000 rows, 1,000 fake rows in it.
At this point, does this do it through an edge function, Flo?
No, no. In here, it won't use that
It's
function.
SQL,
It's pure.
right?
It's pure as a SQL. In here, so it's going to create the table, then add some LS in it, and I guess in here, it just inserting 10,000 random events in here. So let's try it. I click deploy. Oh, demo effect, of course.
Obviously, it's live.
Obviously, it's live. Okay, let's try to fix it. Okay, deploy. Looking good. I have my new table here. So, okay, you know what? Let me go to, definitely need to add the shortcuts to go to that specific table. Okay, so I think it was to be deleted something. Yes. So I've got my events in here table, and you see that I have a lot of it, like 10,000 records. And if I really want to load 10,000 records, I need to do something in Superbase, because by default there is a security, but for the purpose of this test, let me go back here, and I think it's in data API. And yeah, you see by default, the max rows returned is 1,000. So let me just add a 0 here. Okay, so I go back to WeWeb, and I'm going to create a collection like this. So it's event, and now I can select, let me click reload here. I can select the event table. I want everything, and okay. So in here, I'm really loading 10,000 items on the front-end side. And if I display this in a normal table, it will just crash, for sure. So don't do that. But you can do it in the data grid. And so why? Because in here, basically, in your browser, we are only adding in the what we call the DOM, only those 8-9 lines. And when you scroll in here, in preview, we remove the first lines and we add the other one. It's called virtual scrolling. So that's why we can have that amount of rows. So let me just click the setting in here, click data, and I'm going to bind to the collection I just added. Okay, so I have this. Let me generate the columns, and here we are. And in here, I can tell
So quick,
you
so
see,
easy to do, incredible.
I have everything. Okay, and so the question was having an event when you click a row, right? So yeah, I think we don't have. Yes, we do. So you need to do that on row. No, it's when you select a row. Sorry. So right now you need to toggle this row selection single, and you're gonna have this. So you cannot. Yeah, you need to do something like this, and then you can trigger a workflow if you do that. But indeed, you cannot select a row in here. So we do need to add the trigger for that.
I think that would be a nice thing
That's
to
a good
have.
point.
There are a lot of use cases for something like this.
If you really need to do it right now, let me show you one last thing, and then
we get into the good part, the sneaky stuff.
The sneaky stuff, yeah. So for
Probably the last
those of you
that only Flo and Mark know.
yeah, so you can select data grid in here. So this is the one that we support, and when we do updates, you're gonna have those updates. But if you wish to do something fancy and you don't want to wait for us, you can click on those three dots here, and you see you've got fork component. So you click on that, and then basically what it does, it adds. If you click the add panel here and you go to code it, well, I've got many of them, but okay. But you will see this. So www.datagrid.g fork. And basically it means that in your project, you have the source code. It's entirely yours. So if you click here and you click open in code editor, for those who know to code, you have the code of that component. So you can edit it yourself if you know what to do, or you can edit with AI. And if you go here, you can ask for something like, could you add a trigger called on row click, so I can trigger a workflow when a user click on a row. Okay, let's try this. And so when you do this, basically I will code for you. So let's wait a bit. Oh, this is an issue. Okay. I think I know why. Let me do it again. Edit with AI. Could you update its coded components and add a trigger called on row click? Let's try again. Because I didn't have this one in the context because I was editing the code manually. We might have a small issue in here. Need to see that with the tech team, but basically, yeah. When you see something like this with code, it means that it's going to be all right. So let's wait a bit more. Of course, we are editing the biggest component we have. So let's wait a bit more. I hope it's not.
I think I can see the retry button at the bottom of the chat flow. I don't know if it might have.
Might have an issue here. Let's try again. Okay, it's coding for real this time.
if you need them, Emil, I'll put a link to the docs that we have on forking components.
That would be perfect. So thank you, Slavo, for giving me challenges
I love it.
on live streams.
Beautiful.
While we're waiting, we have some love from Giovanni. He says very nice updates for the new elements. So thank you.
Super. Okay, it's almost done.
Well, if you want to demo a feature, why not do it on the most complicated feature?
Yeah. Because it's fun. Okay, it's built. Okay, I hope it's not broken. So let me check now. If I go to the
We need a drum roll
workflows.
sound effect as well as elevator music now. Let's see.
I'm very excited. On
On
roll.
row. Oh, why I don't see it? No. Okay, so now I need to redo it and make sure it works. Or I'm going to add more work to the tech
can never
team.
accept
I'm
defeat.
really sorry. I'm really sorry. I thought it would work. Almost. I might have to ask again. So not for today, unfortunately. But yeah, on that component, it's quite hard. This one is really, really big and really complex also. So I'm really sorry. I really need to go a bit early today. So I'm going to leave you into Slavo and Matthew's hands.
Super.
So see you.
Thanks, Flo.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Flo.
Okay. Right, yeah, feel free to join Emil, by the way. I saw your comment in the chat about strange rendering. I think you might have just joined us. Yes, okay. Hey, Emil.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yeah. So if you have time now, of course.
Yeah, we've got more time. We've got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. So all right, I'm just playing around with the new data grid to see if I can get it to work. And I have some issues with some strange rendering. Let me see if I know how to share my screen. No. Yeah, I have to rejoin. 1 second.
No problem.
What was Steve asking about? Or he was answering?
He was asking about the icons. At the minute, it's not ideal when you upload an icon. You have to do some manual business before you upload the SVG so that the color property works in the editor.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sent a video for that, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can add some kind of automatic thing to apply the needed settings when you upload the SVGs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, it's just Apple permissions. So let me share. Good. Yeah, now I can't get the editor opened.
It's always live demo curse. It's always
Yeah.
When you have an audience, be sure that problems will appear.
Yeah, exactly. I also think it's because my internet is quite slow. So now I'm also part of this stream.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Denmark. No, it's just like on a 5G network with bad connection.
You're not lagging for us at all, though. So
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's
the
just
video is perfect. So
yeah. All right, now something is happening. I just have to log in. Looks like it's working. All right. Good. All right, can you see?
yes, we've got you.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so this is my old data grid. And this was actually what I mentioned before, right? I had to create a custom component, and then I couldn't select the row. But when I play around with the new component, let's say I'm deleting one of the items here. I'll just show the data. What's going on? So let's see if I'll delete this. And then, it shows this on top, and then the rest comes down here.
Odd. Could you would you mind putting it into edit mode?
Yeah.
And then if you go into the settings tab of the element, when you've got it selected, so the middle slide is, yep. And if you just at the bottom, if you scroll to the very bottom, if you turn off conditional rendering and then put it back on. Yes, unfortunately, I think because we had this issue last week, I think this might just unfortunately be a bug on our side.
Okay.
If you could put in a ticket, that would be super.
Yeah.
I think
all right, because it also actually shows some of the old data that's used, even though I've used the fetch afterwards.
That shouldn't happen though. If it's still sending the delete event, it should the rendering issue that would be on our side. But the fact that you still see old data, as long as you're making a request to Xano and deleting the record, it shouldn't appear still.
Yeah, but let me show. It should. Sure. It's text icon, right? So this is my workflow. I'm requesting the delete, and that works. And then I'm doing a fetch of the same data.
Have you confirmed just to check if you delete something here? Have you manually checked to make sure it actually deletes in Xano?
Yeah, no, I haven't actually checked, but if you can see if I delete this one, I'm getting an error. We can try with one of the others. Supposed to be.
I think that might be because, so if you open up the settings for this on the data grid,
yep,
go into the styling tab where you, the settings tab where you define the columns. If you go down to the delete column and you expand that for this action, okay, so you have the key, and then if you just scroll to the bottom,
all the way down.
Sorry, if you go to the key for this, so where we define.
So I have to do that as a custom part.
So you've got a custom. Okay, that makes sense. And then so it's. I think it's. If you open up the response, for the workflow, then so if you go on to the left, where in your logs we have the workflow.
Yeah.
If there's a response key that was returned at the very bottom. The bottom of the where it says untitled workflow, and then it says an error happened with the red text. There's a response.
Yeah.
If you open up the response, you see at the bottom here.
Yeah, sure.
And then you open up the data.
Yep.
And then, so I think this is something to do with the Xano endpoint. So the Xano endpoint has returned this error.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me just confirm. It's just something I noticed just now. So, yeah.
And this is a very common Xano error. What it means is that you're using a variable in your function stack that does not exist. So you did it and you're using it in one of your actions in the function stack and it can't find it. So that's what this error means. So that's what I recommend to do. Go to your Xano endpoint and just look closely at the variables you are using inside the function stack.
Okay, yeah, let me have a look at that. So I didn't try that. But yeah, sure, I'll make a ticket for the rendering. Yeah,
great. Apologies, by the way, we couldn't resolve it here.
Yeah, no problem.
Super. Right. Cheers, Mel. And then I think we probably have time for one more person. Tom joined us. I think this was regarding a modal question he had. Hiya, Tom. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Super, yes.
Okay, great. And so with the model, maybe I will share my. We'll try to share. Screen. Moment. Okay, can you see it?
Cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
when I'm clicking on the model, it's like open the model, I click it like that.
Yeah.
Also showing my side menu.
This should be a simple one. So what you'll want to do is if you put it into edit mode and you click on the resource structure on the left in the layout tree.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So this will be a Z index issue. And the Z index is basically just the tiering or the layering of the elements. So we just want to make sure that this takes the priority. But the first thing I want to do is check that you don't have a Z index or a Z axis applied on this, because this will override anything you do. Okay, cool. So you don't have one. So if you go into, now if you click onto the dialog on the left, this one, yeah. And if you turn the Z axis on for this one, okay, and if you just check the side menu, so if you click onto side menu on the left.
Yeah, I think the side menu also said.
I think so, yeah. So I suspect we'll have to lower that just to be less than 100. If you on the side menu.
Okay, like different, like lower level up.
Exactly, yeah. And then so yeah, if you put this one to less than 100, so now it's there we go. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So the Z-axis is basically just its priority in the layering of elements.
Yeah, okay. I was able with element throwing pass, so I knew connected to Z, but I didn't know exactly how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so a second question relates to the data grid. So you were saying data grid is a lot better handling a lot of data. I already started with the tables, but now I think I need to go to data grid. Is it possible to add like a button on data grid row? So not
Yes.
on the row, but like adding self-available the checkbox to add some, I don't know, some icon that will trigger like editing or like whatever I want.
It's a bit more complex, but yes. So what you can do is in the column types for the data grid, there's a column type called custom.
Okay.
And whenever you set the column type to be custom, you can put whatever you want inside of that column. So if you wanted to then add anything from the add panel, like an icon or a button, whatever it is. Yeah, sorry, it's these drop downs you see at the top. So each of these, yeah. And then the type,
So
you'll have access to custom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but
and so then
actually put like the icon inside.
So if you put it into data added, if you scroll to the very far right of the data grid, so you go to the inside the actual editor. So you change the date added column to custom, and the date added column is the very last column of the data grid, and we just can't see it right now.
Okay.
So you'll need to.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So it's that date added column, and now if you put it into edit, it might see that's you'll need to do it. We might have just found a limitation of this actually. If for now you just if you put one of the first columns just so we can illustrate it. So if you go back into edit mode, and then you put the name column to custom, the one that we can see.
That's the name.
Yep, and then put this to custom, the type.
Oh,
and now you can drag anything into it.
Oh, okay.
Including an icon.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I can add whatever I want.
Exactly, yeah.
Anything you want from the panel.
Okay, right. I'm working with JSON, less like construct tables. I hope it will work. But it looks good. And it's not possible to do the things like the regular table, right?
Sorry, it broke up slightly, but I think the gist of the question was, can you do this with a regular table?
Yeah, exactly.
You could. The only thing is the data grid.
The DOM, make it more functional. I can have like 1,000 rows.
Exactly, yeah.
So I can put with the table or
it would work with the data grid be better to make this work in the table. you could make it work, but if it looks like you're loading in a lot of records, and setting this up in the table would basically mean having to deal with pagination. So separating the rows based on pages, which introduces a lot more manual work on your side. And then it also has, the data grid has more filtering features built in. So for example, these columns, you can sort them, you can filter them, and it's all instantly available. You don't have to set up any of that functionality on your side. Whereas if you use the table, you could make it work, but it probably just makes more sense to use this data grid because it has everything you need already built in, and it will save you time.
Okay. And regarding the filtering and the capability of that, we work also with 1,000 rows because it will need more data, right?
So it filters everything. So whatever you have loaded into the data grid right now, the filtering works for all of that data.
Okay, and if I have 10,000 rows and I can't upload them into the front end, I will need to do something with the back end, right?
You would just need to pass in however many records you have. So if it was 10,000 rows, you would just need to get that, and then on the data grid, in the settings of it, at the very top where you pass in the items, you would just need to pass in your items, and then whatever items you've passed in that settings section, that's the items that the filtering looks through. So if you have, I mean, you've got quite a few records in here right now, I can see. So if you were to filter like the quantity column or the price column, it would filter every single record you have loaded in. So as long as you have 10,000 records loaded into the data grid, so if you scroll to the top of this settings menu on the right, the data at the top, whatever you have loaded in there, that's what it will filter through. So whether it's 10,000 records, 100 records, whatever it is, it will filter through all of it.
But can it filter like 10,000 rows? The front end of the time is at a bit bigger. Let's call it computing than the back end. I don't want it to crash or to be really slow.
It would work fine on the front end for this data grid specifically. For a table, no, but the data grid, yes. And the reason for that is because it uses what's termed virtual scrolling. So the records that are only loaded on that you see are the ones that are in view. So even if you have 10,000 records loaded on the front end, the only ones that are ever rendered are the ones that are in view, which means it has very little performance impacts depending on however much you've loaded in. So usually no, but with this, that's the advantage of the data grid, is that it only renders what's in view. So it would work fine with this.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Sorry for the mess of my system. It's like a bit now, so a little bit.
No worries. But I remember we spoke a few weeks ago, so it's good to see it all coming together.
Like getting element and somehow like fix it. I also use like forms element and to work it better, but in the end, everything works. So yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's coming along.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right. Cheers, Tom. Super. Right. That is us for the hour. Thank you ever so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for joining us, Slavo. It was a pleasure. I think we'll have you next week as well.
Yes, sir.
Many more weeks to come. So
yeah, not the week after that, but I'll be here next week.
super. Right. Thank you ever so much, everyone.